Hi all, let's have a look at the very interesting game against Andscacs. So Leela playing black. This is in the Chess.com Computer Championship, Rapid Rumble, Stage 2. It's a 15-minute with a 5-second increment, time control. So D4, the first four half moves are given. Bishop F4, this is the Mason attack variation. And there's a video on the channel, Magnus Carlsen's top secret London system move order you might want to check out. So it's not using the knight, basically the Mason attack. C5, so that's the end of the book. E3, so Leela now plays knight C6, knight F3, knight F6, D takes C5, E6, C4, bishop takes C5, knight C3, and now Leela pins that knight. It is possible. There's no massive problem here. It seems if black castles, I don't think it was essential to pin the knight. This kind of position should be around even, about even. So bishop b4, but it does portray the idea of giving up the dark square bishop, and black could be weaker on the dark squares if this is part of a gambit. I mean, accepting white's potential gambit. Let's have a look. Bishop e2, d takes c4. Now, yeah, the queens are offered. This is avoided. Queen c2, and white is playing now after knight d5 a virtual gambit with castling, because it seems that this pawn can be held onto, but it's at some cost. Bishop takes c3, so this is slightly controversial. The dark squares are being weakened here. B takes, yes, it is possible for black to consider things like b5 soon, or even knight takes f4, which doubles the pawns and gets rid of that bishop pair from white. But Leela castled here. It seems knight takes f4 is a possible alternative here. For example, after taking castling, letting white take on c4, but say white wants to do this, white could even leave c4 and play like this with ideas of knight g5. So say b5, knight g5. This is quite interesting, but it's dynamically balanced. It seems it could continue a4, for example, and it might actually drift in black's favour with inaccurate play, maybe like this. Black could end up having a slight edge. So anyway, Leela just castled, ignoring knight takes f4, so that bishop lives another day. But this is now a gambit. This gives Leela the chance to cling on to this pawn. Is it worth it? That's the big question here. So Leela with 7 pawns, white with 6, but the bishop pair, that dangerous looking dark square bishop. And also this d-file in the short term seems a little bit dangerous. e4 now threatened, so the queen gets out of the way, hitting c3. That seems entirely logical. Knight d4 shielding c3, hitting the knight. Now we have here knight takes d4, we have rook takes, bishop b7. So Leela's still a pawn up, but after a4, yeah, these pawns, they're a bit shaky, but look at the white bishops here. They sit quite well together. Bishop f3, rook ac8, queen d2, now with ideas of e4 potentially. Bishop c6, a takes, and now e4, knight e7. And now, yeah, this is quite a scary move. h4 supported by that dark square bishop. There are some lines now where e5 starts to be dangerous, opening up the rook across and then supporting things like bishop g4 even. It's starting to look a bit dangerous, and here Leela played a move which is intriguing. It turns out on later nets this move isn't played. There's safer moves played. This move played by Leela, knight g6, seems to basically be extremely bad news, to say the least. And it's a set of forcing moves here which give white a winning position now, whatever way it's cut. Just to show the game continuation, and then maybe after return here, e5 is the game continuation. Now on queen f5, there's bishop g4, unfortunately, trapping the queen. Yeah, because the queen hasn't even got d3. The rook's still protecting d3. So this is no good to give up the queen here. So it's the first of a forcing set of moves, and now bishop takes, forcing, another forcing move. And it's here Leela has to lose a piece and plays g6. The reason is, I wonder if you can guess it. Why not rook takes c6, you think? There's a really crushing tactical shot here, which is quite stunning, but it seems to have been outside of the scope of this particular Leela ID. As I say, later IDs pick it up. And I thought that the Monte Carlo tree search components maybe could have picked up some forcing moves, but that may be conflicting with, you know, a central idea of the project, that it should be the neural network that's taking the weight of you know, even understanding, you know, highly tactical positions, the self-training. So maybe there shouldn't be any need to interfere at all with trying to tune the tree search component. But there's a very, very sharp tactical move here, which totally wins for white. So I wonder if you can guess it. You might want to pause the video and analyze the position. I'll give you the full 5 seconds starting from now. White to play. Okay, it's a shocker, but rook a8. It doesn't matter what black does here, it's just horrible. It's absolutely losing. If rook takes a8, then it's a back row mate. And so that's clearly not possible. Yeah, just it's like a drag and drop tactic, dragging this rook over here for rook d8 to be more effective. On rook c8, well, on rook cc8, yeah, we just take here, and again the rook's dragged. Unfortunately, there's still a back row mate with rook d8. So yeah, this rook a8, if it's kind of ignored with say g6, then rook takes, no, not rook takes, rook d8, and then the thing is, if rook takes, queen takes, yeah, unfortunately here queen h8 check picks up the queen. It's all pretty nasty stuff. So yeah, it's revealed a blind spot, and even a few rounds later, by the way, after this, I'm presenting this video, Leela still, this is the only loss of the tournament. It's fascinating, but as I say, it seems like later networks see this and avoid this whole scenario of losing a piece. And this is that critical juncture after this. It's pretty much downhill after losing a piece. If we look at this position, let's go back to this position. H6 might be one of the strongest moves. It's possible to play this, it seems. For example, rook a6, b4 even. Rook a7. Let's just take this line as an example, where the pawn could be given up, but black has still, even though if black's gammoning here, there should be about even. It should be balanced dynamically. So yeah, that's one situation. Instead of h6, if we look at, let's look at something else. Well, within h6, rook a6. So b4 is a move here. I mentioned rook a7. If rook d6 here, then queen takes c3. This position, that's doing fine. If c takes b4 here, then c3. This is actually good for black, because things like bishop b7 hitting the queen, that's actually winning for black. Queen E1. Yeah, B4 seems to be a key move. B3. This is going to be about even, this position. So yeah, there's ideas of B4 here, which rock the boat for white after H6, but H6 needs to be played. So it gives king some air, clearly, avoiding the disaster scenarios, and is seen by most engines after like a second. Yeah, so sometimes Leela's not fantastic tactically. If we look also, there's a fascinating line just for the record with B4, E5, Queen G6, H5, and here this Queen H6 is losing to Bishop F4. That's just horrible. This is just horrible. But in this variation, there's actually B takes C3, Queen C1, and remarkably, there's a way of black equalizing in a remarkable way, super fantastic way, with Queen D3. I've noticed. Yeah, this is totally crazy. But after straightening out the pawns like this, it's too dangerous to take here because the bishop takes and hitting the queen. So let's just run with this. This position seems the two connected pass pawns are enough for black to have an equal position. So this is a really, really sharp line, but no need to go in for this. It's perpetual check here in this line. But we see that basically H6 is probably the top move, which is only a very small edge for white. So yeah, bit of a blow up there. But let's have a look at what happened after then. So after going a piece down to this horrible tactic, so this can't be taken because of rook a8, we have actually G6. So a piece up. Now you might think there's some potential of these pawns. It is 2 pawns for the piece. Is there any potential? White first hits the queen, and now bishop f3, h5. Now rook d7 with a nasty threat actually in this position. So if we try and push the pawns, can you see what white can play here? If I give you 5 seconds, tactical test, white to play. So Leela didn't play b4, but why? Okay. Bang. This is actually really crushing, whatever way it's cut. If b takes, then there's rook takes g6, yeah, spectacular. And then queen h6, mating, basically, as if rook f7 taking here, and then taking here, it's just mating, it's going to be mating. So Leela's having to defend against this rook takes e6, yeah, this is, if here, then there's queen h6 immediately. And it's just the same sort of winning pattern. Yeah, that's just desperate. So yeah, Leela's defending with this move against rook takes e6, it seems. Queen f4 hitting f7 now. Rook e7 taking that d file. And now bishop e4, which stops any concerns about the pawns really, and as well as hitting the king side. So dual purpose, defending and attacking. B takes, we have queen f6. Rook takes, queen f8, and now bishop takes g6, just crashing through basically. Leela can't take here because taking and then mating. So yeah, it's pretty gone. Queen g7, bishop takes f7 check, rook d8 check, yep. Bishop takes e6, queen d7 check. Yeah, this is just it's all over, of course. And the bishop holds these pawns, of course. It's just very, very simple. No problems for white here. Carries on like this. Well, exactly like this. Okay, so as I mentioned, I posted in the forums about this, thinking could the tree search component have picked it up, but it would be against the spirit of self-learning, self-training. And yeah, it turns out, so Enrico Caruso on the September the 19th, 2018, posted about one of the replies about would a later network pick it up. So the top neural networks he tested in were 11.262, 11.187, 11.120, 11066. Of these, both 11262 and 11187 prefer h6, move 21, instead of that knight g6. So yeah, it seems as though these tactical blind spots could be, it seems, resolvable just by more training games, which is funny. You might think there's a need for tree search optimizations, but I don't think so. I'm not sure there is. So, but as I say, this very rarely happens to Leela at this point in the evolution of Leela. Very rarely has there been a tactical disaster like this. But yeah, it seems that rook a8, that kind of move rook a8, is it's difficult for humans to see that, of course, as well. It's quite a neat tactic, I thought, so I thought I should show it just for the record here. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares, appreciated. Thanks so much.